two times, maybe three times where we had check fraud and we had to go through this just terrible nightmare of a process. Where did it happen? How did it happen? How do we cancel the checks? How do we transfer bank accounts? Part of the impetus of this show is to talk about how technology is making brick and mortar business more safe. That's why I'm always excited to start to have conversations like this. Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I'm your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ Media production. We have been doing this show since 2017, and it is truly an honor to be able to share the stories and the lessons of so many incredible digital hospitality leaders from all over the globe. We started because we believed that business storytelling didn't have to be boring. We thought that there were interesting people doing interesting things with technology, with restaurants, with business. And if we had great conversations, we could build a community. So if you're new to the show, welcome. If you've been listening for a while, we are grateful. Today we have Wendy Turk. She is the VP of Regulatory Affairs for a company called Fintech. We're going to learn all about what Fintech does. But if you own a restaurant, if you own a bar, if you do alcohol business in the state of California, please pay attention to this episode. We are going to get into why it's important, why you need to be prepared, what can happen if you're not prepared. But the essence of this show is digital hospitality. It's how can businesses be digital first, especially brick and mortar businesses, but how can all businesses be more hospitable? And I think technology is allowing us all to do business in a better way. And that's why we're grateful to have Wendy on the show. Wendy, welcome.
Thank you very much. I find the premise of your show both exciting and inspiring, so it's truly an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Let's start with your role as VP of Regulatory Affairs. I'm actually really excited because a lot on this show, so many laws have to do with how we run businesses, but I don't get a chance to talk to an expert like you that is actually on the front lines advocating on behalf of businesses. Can you share a little bit about your role and what gets you excited every single day?
Most definitely. I've got a great job. I love my job. What I do, I've actually been in the alcohol industry for over 20 years. First 8 years was in the wholesale tier, wine and spirits wholesaler. Yep. And then the last 12 years has been with Fintech as the Vice President of Regulatory Affairs. And in that role, what I do is I work with essentially all 50 state regulators, and I keep them abreast of what our company does in the industry, how we help the industry to stay compliant with the regulated payment terms in each state. I also educate our employees, our internal employees, on various regulatory matters, and I track pivotal industry legislation, and then I share that information out not only with our own employees and teams, but also with our customers and with the industry at large. So an example of that this year, just earlier this spring, Utah legislature passed a new law saying that bartenders can now straw test the mixed beverages they're making before they serve those out. Previously, that was prohibited. Now that's being allowed. Also in Montana this session, their legislature passed a new law allowing hospitality licensees to install beer and wine, automated self-serve beer and wine machines within their businesses. So it's really cool stuff. It's sometimes very intense and it's a labor of love, but it's really cool to watch the industry grow and change and to be able to share that out.
I would love to hear, just given your experience through COVID. I have been obviously running Cali Barbecue for the last 17 years, and having a liquor license was actually one of the reasons why we got into this crazy business. It was having a Type 47 license at our business, but the laws don't change that much, but when they do, they changed quickly during COVID. Can you talk a little bit about your role that time and kind of how you got the information from the various states and then got it out to all the Fintech customers?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. The industry had never seen anything like it. Most of the changes that came were through executive orders. There just wasn't time to get anything done from a legislative perspective. So a lot of them were emergency orders that were issued by governors. And of course, they were relying heavily on their support staff to bring them information, help to let them know what does the industry need, what needs to stay open. And that's how a lot of the changes evolved during COVID. And we really just saw kind of an unleashing of things that previously had been prohibited, as far as extended hours, extension of where alcohol can be sold and served in a lot of cities. All of a sudden, you saw alcohol being sold and served on sidewalks, common sidewalks, in parking lots, in tents, all sorts of things that the industry had never done or seen before. And those things stuck. A lot of them stuck. They stayed. There have been now now that the time has passed, legislatures have been able to go back and make those rules permanent, so that now you can permanently serve on a sidewalk. Generally, you need a permit of some sort, but you can serve now on sidewalks or in parking lots. Also, alcohol delivery, that was rarely done. I think only one or two states have allowed any type of.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And now those are, by and large, are permanent laws in most states. So it was a really fascinating time. It moved overnight. The changes, I couldn't keep up with them, but I tracked them all. You won't believe this, in a spreadsheet. And then we did get that information out. We did webinars, we did emails, we shared the information as best we could during that time.
I would love, tell me why fintech. You were obviously before in the alcohol business, but what was the mission of fintech that drew you in?
Yeah, actually, as a wholesaler, we used fintech, and so I knew what they did. I knew the genius of the product they supplied, and so when it was time for me to move on and grow within the industry, fintech was my next step. And they've been in the business for 34 years as the industry leader in alcohol payments. So it really was, again, an honor to become a part of that team and help advance their mission. Because what they do is, across all 50 states, is they help the industry stay compliant with payment terms, regulated payment terms in all 50 states, not just a California thing. It's across the United States that those payment terms are regulated between the wholesaler and the retailer. Also, it helps to eliminate fraud, theft for both sides of the industry. It centralizes payments. I know when I worked in the wholesale tier, we offered a couple different payment options for the retail customers that we delivered to. But if the retailer was using fintech, they could use it for all their distributors, because all the distributors offered fintech. So it was just a really great service. And as a distributor, I admired and appreciated the work they did. So it really was an honor to become part of that team.
So let's talk about California. We've got some news in California. Part of the impetus to this show is for us to educate our community. We have so many amazing owners, operators that tune into this show. Tell us what is happening currently in California. When does this new law go into place, and how can we all become compliant?
Yeah, great question. In true California style, California seems to be a leader in a lot of things, kind of the first out to make a lot of modernizing and advancing thoughts and ideas. And this is one of those. What it is a legislative bill that came about in 2024. It was discussed in the House, the Assembly in California, and then passed and moved on to the legislature, was discussed and passed there, and then it obtained the governor's signature last September. It was Assembly Bill 2991. And what it does is it requires electronic payments for all beer, wine, and spirit deliveries from wholesalers, the licensed California wholesalers. So it really is a modernization move for the entire industry, not only to make those payments so incredibly efficient, but also to reduce, as I mentioned earlier, that risk of theft and fraud that comes with writing checks. I was reading earlier this year, the FBI and the United States Postal Inspection Service, it's a mouthful, they issued an alert that the number of suspected fraud cases of check fraud have doubled in the last several years. So wow. It really is a modernization when you think about the fact that the small businesses are still writing checks out there, but really removing the checkbook from the small business really should be a front and center conversation that's taking place, because the theft and the fraud out there with checks is increasing. So modernizing this payment mechanism across the industry is a good thing for both the wholesale and the retail tier.
Yeah, that's, I'm sure Eric, my chief financial officer, business partner that's been with me for the last 17 years, there's been, I wanted at least maybe two times, maybe three times where we had check fraud, and we had to go through this just terrible nightmare of a process of figuring out where did it happen? How did it happen? How do we cancel the checks? How do we transfer bank accounts? All of the vendors that we had to pay. And, part of the impetus of this show is to talk about how technology is making brick and mortar business more safe, more secure, more sustainable, more profitable. And that's why I'm always excited to start to have conversations like this. I just got back from Boston and I was talking to one of our partners, Davo, who does sales tax compliance, but they also do it on a global scale. And they were talking about how there's countries that are advocating for business owners to pay taxes the same day. So you wouldn't even have to do annual tax returns. You
Oh,
would
wow.
actually pay your tax. But we're getting to the point where technology is allowing us to be more efficient. Can you talk a little bit about the risk right now of because laws change quickly. The law was signed in September of last year. When is it going to go into effect and how long? What's the grace period that we're talking about?
Yeah, so it's a generous runway. When they wrote this bill, they really gave the industry a very generous runway. It goes into effect January 1st, 2026.
Okay.
After that point in time, all of the payments for deliveries made from wholesalers to retailers must be paid with an electronic form of payment. And I probably should point out as well that electronic funds transfer, or electronic payments, is kind of an umbrella terminology. There are several forms of payment that go under that umbrella. It can be a bank-to-bank ACH. It can be a credit card. It could be a debit card. It can be a wire transfer. All of those are electronic funds transfer or electronic payments. But this bill very narrowly focuses in on one important caveat that is critical to understanding this and moving forward successfully with being in compliance with this bill. And that's that the payments have to be distributor initiated. So what that means is that the wholesaler's got to take some kind of step to initiate the payment process. So what's not going to work for the retail tier is maybe logging into their Wells Fargo bank account and selecting their alcohol distributor and selecting a due date and selecting an amount due. That's a retailer initiated payment. So it works today, but based on the language of this new law, it won't work in the future. So it's a really important caveat to understand about the bill is that it does need to be distributor initiated.
What do you think are some of the biggest inefficiencies, obviously, when we're talking about in the past to where we're going?
Inefficiencies?
Yeah, inefficiencies that you've seen that fintech helps solve.
Yeah, you know what? The time lags during delivery for both the wholesaler and the retailer are very real. There was a study done on the beer side, the beer industry did a time study, and they actually followed drivers and they watched deliveries. And on average, anytime a retailer is paying a cash or check, the delivery takes an extra 15 to 20 minutes.
Really?
Now, I know that California is a 30-day term state, which is different from a COD state. But even then, generally, the distributors are picking up payments at the back door, maybe from the delivery 30 days ago or 25 days ago. So oftentimes that distributor, the beer, wine, or spirit distributor, is still waiting at the back door for that payment. And that takes time of not only distributor, but who's in charge of making those payments, right? Is it the owner that's got to be in there for the 5:45 a.m. delivery to write the check or hand over the petty cash? Or is it the kitchen guy that's prepping carrots and he's got to stop prepping carrots to hand over the payment, go get the payment? So there's an incredible time inefficiency with payments that are being made manually. Also, as I mentioned, the risk of theft and fraud, it's out there. It doesn't happen all the time. The industry's not full of bad actors, but there are some bad actors in the world. There are people not even in this industry who are watching the drivers. They know what time the beer truck comes. They know the beer truck's leaving with a pocket full of cash. And those drivers become targets for bad actors. Also, if you think about the congestion in downtown, where do those big trucks have to park?
Yeah.
In the middle of the street, in a parking lot. So there are real inefficiencies with those parking lots being blocked while the drivers are waiting for payment. Also, you're a small business owner, the time that you spend in the office writing out a check or opening up your petty cash drawer to get out payment, you're not spending with your staff to level up their knowledge or their craft, and you're not spending it on the floor with your customers. So they're all very real inefficiencies.
I mean, everything you just said is the reason why we believe in this show, why we believe in storytelling, why we believe in our technology partners. I mean, so much of the work of we have so many things to do, and it's not only small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses,
Right.
but the if inefficiencies in the tasks that we're doing, technology allows us to save that time to focus on the things that matter. I mean, one of the greatest innovations for me was watching our food suppliers, meaning US Foods, coming and taking an order. My kitchen manager would go and do an inventory sheet, count all of the things, and what do we need to order, what barbecue items, what vegetables do we need to order, and then they would have to go meet with a sales rep. And then they would sit there for an hour and go over, because the sales rep could only proprietary put in the information into their spreadsheet. And now it's not that we don't need the sales rep. It's just, now we just go on our phone and go into the walk-in and go, we have this many things, order this. So
Right.
like, that's the aha of where we are and where we're going. Can you talk a little bit about the businesses that have been more analog, and how is fintech helping them become more digital first?
Yeah, so there are a number of small businesses out there, and they're doing what they can with what they have.
Yep.
And oftentimes those are manual payments. The delivery gets made, the invoice goes and sits in an inbox on a desk.
Yeah.
Eventually, at some point, somebody sits down with a stack of invoices and either goes online to their bank and issues payment, or sits down and writes a check and issues payment. And those are all very manual processes. So bringing them up to speed with basically, and it's actually even automated. It's not, you don't even have to log into the fintech portal to coordinate what day and what time and which bank account you want the payment to come from. It's automated. Once you sign up with us, all of your payments are automated. And on top of that, not only is it incredibly efficient, but you're essentially removing the risk of being out of compliance with the ABC laws, because they do mandate payment within 30 days. And if that payment doesn't made, now you've got a compliance issue. It's not just that you're late and somebody's knocking on your door asking for payment, but now you're out of compliance with the ABC regulations. So really moving from kind of those analog, those manual tasks. Like I get it. A lot of businesses out there are doing the best they can with what they have, and that's
Yep.
the best they have. But with fintech, and it's even free. We've got one of our best service offerings is a completely free product
Really?
that moves those payments at no cost for every alcohol distributor that brings product to your back door. So it's just incredibly,
Wow.
it's incredibly efficient, and it makes so much sense, and it keeps you out of hot water with the ABC.
That's amazing. And how do people that are listening to this, how do they sign up for that product?
Several ways. I'm glad you asked that. You can either wait. The retailers can either wait for the distributor to say, we got this thing coming up, this new modernization, and we're getting everybody moved over. Here are your options. You can sign up here, or you can proactively go onto fintech.com, our website. And I promise you, this is front and center on our website. This is a huge initiative. It's a big undertaking. We want to make it as easy as possible for everybody involved. So if they just go to fintech.com, they will find links there that will get them started. And it's actually, they can sign up by themselves. They don't have to wait to be invited by their distributor. They just sign up by themselves. And during that process, they can check their check boxes. They can check every single distributor that they want to do this with, so that all of their payments are centralized with a single service provider.
And in your words, what do you think is the value prop for fintech, and why not somebody else that might be a competitor of yours?
Great question. First and foremost, we're fully compliant with this new law. We do have a mechanism, which is how we've been operating since we opened our doors 34 years ago, where the distributor initiates the payment. They upload the invoice to us at the end of the day. So when they make that delivery to the back door of each of the restaurants in California, an invoice is handed over. It's agreed upon. The delivery's made. They upload a digital copy of that invoice to us at the end of each night. Mm-hmm. And that keeps us fully in compliance, because that means the distributor is initiating the payment. So first and foremost. Second, like I said, we've got a free service. It's self-sign up. You can sign up whenever you want to at your own convenience. You don't have to wait to be invited into this. You can select all of your alcohol distributors. We do business with more than 450 alcohol distributors, beer, wine, and spirits across the state of California. Amazing. And that's not only the licensed wholesalers, that's also the self-distributing breweries and the self-distributing wineries. Wow. So we've got several hundred of those that offer fintech as a payment. So you really can get everything done with a single platform.
And is that every one of them, or is that, how much of market share is that?
You know what? I'm going to go out.
We have vendor partners that would love that. Like, maybe they should know about fintech.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say we've probably got all of the wholesalers, the
Uh-huh.
licensed wholesalers, and we've got hundreds and hundreds of the self-distributing wineries
Wow.
and breweries. And if we don't, let us know who you're
Yeah.
buying from, and we'll call them up and we'll invite them onto our platform. No problem. And I will say also, we have been listening to retailers for the last 10 years and building out new products and services. So we now also have a service that allows retailers to essentially pay their invoices to any vendor that they have. So it goes beyond alcohol at this point as well. So that's also a big part of why fintech.
That's amazing. If somebody's listening to this and they're worried, how can you ease their concerns about, I mean, laws change, tech solutions are out there. You guys are having an amazing free solution, as well as other solutions. How can you ease their troubles?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's fair, and I think it's something that I would love to put out there for the listeners. First and foremost, we want to help. We want to be a resource. If you want to call us, we'll talk to you. If you want to email us, we'll email with you. If you want to dial into a webinar, we'll do a webinar for you. We want to help every member of the industry through this as best as we certainly can. As well, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some getting used to. So I would recommend kind of leaning into those discussions now, having those conversations about how are you going to need to change your SOPs? How are you going to need to bring your staff up to speed? Also moving forward with just collecting that information, finding out what, with your distributors, what their process is and when they're going to be asking everyone to sign up. And then also, I think just really understanding that electronic payments is basically the same thing as a check transaction, just without the piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The bank payments still move from the retailer's bank account to the distributor's bank account. It's essentially an electronic version of a check. So it's not really that scary. It's not really that technologically complex. It's just a little bit different way of doing things. It's a lot more efficient.
Well, one of the things I did want to shout out is we believe deeply in technology companies that have humans at the heart. You guys have done a great job of building community. I think understanding best practices. You have so much data. You have so many customers that are doing things right, and you've done a great job on your website and through your social content of sharing those stories. As somebody that believes in storytelling, that believes in learning from other restaurant owners, I want to thank you guys for doing that. Fintech is a great resource. We're going to put links into the show notes so you guys can learn more, find out about the webinars, find out about the blogs, find out about the new law. Is there any parting words you'd like to say, Wendy, to the community?
You know what? This is an exciting modernization. It's an exciting time. Everybody in our company is focused on this. So we are here to be a resource in any way that we can. And thank you for helping us to be part of the solution and to get the word out there and to be a resource. And thank you for really allowing me to be part of your world. This really has been an honor to be here today.
We're grateful for the work that you and the team are doing. This is so important for us. Restaurant business, bar business, hospitality business, it's not an easy business, but it's a beautiful one. And we believe that there are technology tools and ways that we can all grow together. And we're grateful that you guys are out there doing work like this to educate our industry. So thank you. If you guys want to reach out to me, I'm weirdly available at Sean P. Walchef on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social platforms. We appreciate you. We will put links for FinTech into the show notes. As always, stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We'll catch you guys next episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this long, you are part of the community. You're part of the tribe. We can't do this alone. We started, no one was listening. Now we have a community of digital hospitality leaders all over the globe. Please check out our new series called Restaurant Technology Substack. It's a Substack newsletter. It's free. It's some of our deep work on the best technology for restaurants. Also, go to YouTube and subscribe to Cali Barbecue Media. Cali BBQ Media on YouTube. We've been putting out a lot of new original content. Hopefully you guys like that content. If you want to work with us, go to betheshow.media. We show up all over the United States, some international countries. We would love to work with you and your growing brand on digital storytelling. You can reach out to me anytime at Sean P. Walchef on Instagram. I'm weirdly available. Stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We'll catch you next episode.